Scott from What You Seek here, and today I am going to be looking at the Tudor Pelagos. Now, I have wanted to get my hands on this watch for a long time, and I've seen it, at watch get-togethers, that type of thing, and tried it on my wrist, but this is the first time where I've actually got to spend some time with it. So let's see if it lives up to the expectations that I had. Tudor is a sister company of Rolex. It is owned by the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, just like Rolex. So in the past, Tudor was a lower cost alternative to Rolex watches. So instead of a Rolex movement, it would have, let's say an ETA movement in it. And the cases were very similar, if not identical. Now what Tudor is Tudor is marketing and has different watch models than Rolex. So the marketing is definitely aimed at a different audience. And in fact, they've been getting some flack here online with some of their brand ambassadors. So it's pretty obvious that Tudor is going after a different market than Rolex is. But it's still, I think these watches are phenomenal watches. And this, I would argue, is probably one of the best tool watches out there today. So let's get into all the different case dimensions, and we will talk about the different finishes on here. So let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. So first off, this Pelagos is a titanium watch. So titanium is lighter than stainless steel, so I love that. Titanium has a different feel to it. It feels warmer to the touch, and it is not any warmer than stainless steel, sitting in the same room right next to each other, but it has a different thermal transfer, so it has a different feel. It's just warmer to the touch. Kind of neat. And it has a different finish. It does not have that same high polished look like a stainless steel will have. So this is a brushed finish on the watch, and I would say it's they call it a satin finish, so I'm going to go with satin. And I think the difference between satin and brushed is on a satin finish it's harder to see the brush strokes. I just see that this is a matte and actually a satin finish, and there's no specular highlights coming off of the metal here. So it has a wonderful, wonderful look to it. On the side here, you can see you have a helium escape valve for that, I guess, 0.5% or whoever's going to be needing such a device. On the back of the watch, it is a solid case back. On the side here, we have some nice crown guards that come out to a point, and they are sloped down here from the top and from the bottom. And it's asymmetrical. It doesn't meet exactly in the center here. It's a little higher. Neat little touch. Not sure why it does that, but it looks cool. So the dimensions of the watch here, we have 42 millimeters in diameter. We have a height of 14 millimeters, a lug-to-lug width of 50 millimeters, strap width at 22. And the bezel here, this is a ceramic matte black bezel. And let me just say, this is one of the nicest feeling bezels I have ever had the pleasure to use. It is a 60-click bezel, but it just feels so nice. There's resistance, so it's tight. It's not moving around. And then it gives way to a nice gentle click as you go around. And an interesting thing, I'll see if I can move this closer to the microphone, is when you get back to the 12 o'clock position here, the click actually takes on a different pitch. So let's see, I'll turn it around, and you can feel it too. I mean, in the dark, you can close your eyes, and since I got this, I've been just sitting there at the desk turning the bezel. It's such a joy to use. So I'll move this closer to the microphone, and I'll shut up, and you can see if you can hear the difference when it hits the 12 o'clock here. I don't know if you can hear that. Let me go around again. See if I can. Oh, it's so nice. So nice. Okay, here we go. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. The bezel overhangs just a little bit from the side of the case, so it's very easy to grab. And this little, I'm not sure if, I don't think that's knurling, but the way it's machined in here, it's a very fine machining, so it's very easy to grab. But when you look at the watch, you don't necessarily see these big chunky sides to grab there. It's very subtle, but definitely very easy to turn. And I will put in some loom shots here. The entire bezel, this is all loom filled. Beautiful loom. The loom on this watch is outstanding, absolutely outstanding. The crystal is a sapphire crystal. It has an anti-reflective coating on the bottom, and as you can tell from me just moving the watch out here, it is completely flat. So the advantage to that, I think, with a tool watch like this is I can be looking at it on an angle here. You can see on the camera. Let's see, and I don't have distortion the way that a domed crystal would have. So I think going back to the whole tool watch purpose of this watch here. This strap or bracelet, let's call this a bracelet, is wonderful. And I'm a person, I like watches on bracelets, and I think that this is one of the best bracelets that I've ever used. So let's close the clasp here, and we'll kind of start at the watch here. So it is solid end links, and if we look at how the bracelet pulls, it pulls right from the edge of that lug. So it pulls down on your wrist right from there. It doesn't stick out. So very nice there. The finishing on it is exquisite. It is rounded, and you can see the way that it picks up the light. So the highlights on the edges here as it picks up the light. So when you're wearing it and you look down on your wrist, you see these wonderful highlights and shadows. The links are small as far as the distance here, so it does really curve around to your wrist. Free moving, brilliant. I really like it. But this takes the cake, this guy here. So it's signed here, Tudor. And like I mentioned earlier, this portion here is stainless steel. But they did a great job of matching the finish of this here to the rest of the titanium. So I don't think I mentioned it, but titanium has a part of what titanium does is you get this patina. There's all these little scratches, and that's just part of titanium. So maybe by having stainless steel and probably more so because of the mechanism in here, they needed to go with stainless steel, but this probably won't show scratches as much as the bracelet will. So we have this clasp here, the safety clasp, so this safety catch, and then you just pull up like so, and it locks into place. Let's see if I can move it closer to the mic. Oh, I love it. So I was looking at this, trying to figure out when it's closed like this, it is not coming open. It's solid. But it's so easy to flip that and to open this. So what is in here is right in here, there's these little balls in here that stick out of this assembly here, and it is spring loaded. So I'm guessing they're ceramic. I looked online, I couldn't find out any particular material, but what happens is if you look at this area here, can I get closer? See that cutout right in there? That is what takes actually this goes on the inside. So when I close this, that spring is going to let that ball go into that receiving socket. And the same thing here, we've got a little cutout on this clasp, so when I push it over, it seals in. Awesome. It's so nice. I just love the feel of this. Let me open it up. Okay, so the second part, so you see this here, there's 3 little dots here. Those are micro adjustments, and these are fixed. So we have 1, 2, 3 different adjustments, and to adjust it is super simple. I just pull up on this portion here, it pulls out from this buckle, and then I can move it to those 3 positions, and that's a solid position. It's not going to move. So later in the day, you know, maybe you start there in the morning, you're out in the sun, it's getting a little hot, you can move it around to where it's comfortable. But this part's really cool. If I move it out to this area here, watch what happens. This will flex while it's on your wrist. So if we look in here, you can see, well, maybe not. There we go. Come on. Right down in there, we have 2 springs. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So when this is on your wrist, you can put it into that flex position, and you can see as I move, it will flex with my wrist. Very nice, very nice. I'll get to that when I talk about the wearing aspect of it. But I love the tech on this watch. I think it's something like this I would love to see on more watches. It's amazing that not a lot of bracelets have adjustments like this, because, you know, you get the bracelet and you take out a link and you add a link, and it's, you know, you take one out and it's just a little too tight, and you put another one in and then it's too big. And having the micro adjustments like this, I think is brilliant. Okay, so the movement on this guy. So this watch came out in 2012, but in 2015, Tudor added their own manufacturer movement. So it's an MT5612. And this is an automatic movement. You can hand wind it as well. It does hack. It has a power reserve of 70 hours. You have a quick set date. It is COSC certified. And it has a silicone hairspring, so don't have to worry about magnetism too much with that hairspring. It is a very purposeful movement. It's not very well decorated when you see photos of it, but it has a beautiful bridge that goes over the balance wheel. It's well made. So let's get into the dial of this watch. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. Still in focus? Good. Okay. So right off the bat, legibility is killer. I mean, this is contrast between the hands and the hour markers is, I mean, you can't get any more contrast than I think just the black and white. The hands are loom filled as well as the hour markers and the second hand there. So we have the snowflake on the hour hand, and then I guess I would call that a dagger, sword hand, for the minutes. I'm gonna see if I can get in here. This dial, it look, you know, when you look at it down here, it looks very simple, but there's actually some neat, complex things going on here, and it really has to do with the depth. I think this watch has a wonderful depth from the side here, this flange going down into the dial. So if we look at this flange here, we have an angle, and then the flange right above these markers here breaks off into another angle. Let's see if I can get closer. Oops, I got something on the... There we go. So So you can see this marker, this flange here, and this has marks for the minutes, and then they're slightly larger at the hour. And then that flange continues at a different angle, and then there are cutouts for these applied markers at the hour or this the date window here. So it gives another dimension to the dial here. The applied markers, like I said, are lume filled, and I'm going to see if I can get some macro shots because it's not really showing up on the video here. But what's neat, well, you can kind of see it on the hands. You can see how there's an outline to this, and that outline has a rounded shape. It's picks up highlights and shadows on there, and then this inside here is filled with lume, and that just gives a neat dimension, a nice dimension here to the applied markers. I really like that. I definitely like the way that picks up. Normally on the date window, I would say make the date disc the same color as the dial, but here, because we don't have an applied marker here, they have this rectangle, this kind of fills in from a design wise, fills that space up over there with the white. So in this case, I think it works. And now let's get to this here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of text. Come on, Tudor. The previous version, the one with the ETA movement, did not have all these lines of text. And I'm not sure from a design point why they felt to put all this text in here. I mean, if we look at the back, it says, Tudor manufacturer, caliber, and then the movement name. And in fact, they say it twice. It goes around on we're way out of focus here. But it says it once, and then there's the Tudor shield, and then it says it again. Well, there's plenty of room. You could have taken some of this information if you want it to be part of the watch, or when a salesperson's showing somebody at your dealer, it could be on there. That part kind of bugs me. I wish some of that would have gone away. But starting up here, we have the Tudor shield, the name, Geneve, and then all this text here. So, and then Swiss made. On the wrist, I will say it kind of disappears. No, I'm an older guy and my eyes aren't as great, but it just kind of takes on a little bit of a shape when it's, I can zoom out. So when it's out, at say wrist length or something like that, it just becomes almost just this shape of it. But anyway, I wish it wasn't there, or I don't know. It is what it is. So let's get this guy on the wrist and talk about my wearing experience. So here we go, the Tudor Pelagos on the wrist, and wearing experience has been phenomenal. I love the titanium. It's light. It doesn't feel top heavy when it's on the wrist. I think part of that is because of the way the bracelet comes down onto your wrist here. This clasp system, being able to make adjustments on the fly when you're out at the grocery store, you're like, oh, it's a little tight. You can just make it move, make that a little looser, maybe move it out to this if you're doing something active and you just want some flexibility on your wrist. It's nice. The crown, it's not too big. It doesn't dig into the top of my hand here on wearing it. So easy peasy to wear this. Now it's a little tall, right? It's 14 millimeters. So it's not a thin watch, but again, it's a 500 meter dive watch. I mean, it's not something I'm trying to get all dressed up and fancy with. So again, love the titanium, nice feel, nice adjustability. So overall, thumbs up on the wearing experience on this guy. Okay, so kind of likes and dislikes. What would I change and what would I keep? So what would I change? Bam. Let's get rid of some of that text. I mean, for me, I think that would be very nice. I would like to see some of that text go away. Maybe a little thinner, but again, this is a 500-meter dive watch, tool watch. That's you're not going to see a lot of them that thin. And the fact that it's made out of titanium, it wears pretty easy. So not much that I'd really want to change. The things that I love, what would I keep? This bezel. You know, if you have a Tudor dealer near your home or in your city, stop on by and just try this on and use this bezel, and you'll see what I mean. It's such a joy to use. I love the bracelet, both the way that it looks, but the clasp, the adjustability. I love the loom. The loom is amazing. It lasts a long time, and it is very, very, very bright. So nice loom. Hats off to the Tudor folks for doing that. And also legibility. I mean, this is a tool watch. I can look down, quickly, easily see that what time it is. So my takeaway on the Tudor Pelagos, I truly believe that this is one of the best tool watches out there. The functionality of it, the comfort of it, the robustness of it, the overbuilt movement, it's an amazing watch. I truly think in 20 years' time and down the road, this is going to stand up through the test of time and really become a classic. I mean, it's only been out since 2012, so it definitely has a long lifetime. And you know, I've like I said at the beginning, this is a watch I've wanted to get my hands on, and yeah, I definitely down the road I'm gonna have to sell some watches, but this is definitely a watch that I could see in my collection. So the Tudor Pelagos comes in at a USA retail price of $4,400. And oops, I forgot it also. So you get the bracelet, kind of sidetracked here. It does come with a rubber strap. So nice rubber strap. It has some texture on the bottom, and then you get, look at that little Tudor kind of shield shape there on the buckle. So bracelet and a strap. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave comments, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.